Hey, this is Notser, and we are in the Bismarck, but that is not the reason for the Bismarck. The actual reason for this video is because that recently it has come to my attention, a couple days ago, that there is a bug that exists on the public test server that was introduced with the latest build. The build that they reduced the torpedo detectability by 100 meters and improved the turret traverse of the Japanese, really tiny stuff. This is a pretty important aspect to a lot of German battleships and Japanese and American if you're into that sort of thing. The secondary batteries are actually targeting the citadel right now on the public test server, and that is not what they used to target. They used to target the bulky side. I would probably going to assume that they were targeting the superstructure. If I would have to guess where the target was defined, anyone who doesn't know, secondaries are sort of an automatic attack system, and they're automatically attacking the citadel. At long range, that is not a big deal. It's actually not a big deal. But at close range, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 kilometer range, 100% of your shells or 90% of your shells will not hit the target because they will dive into the water before they even get to the superstructure or even the hull of the ship. That's a big deal. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of intimidation that is gone if people recognize that this exists. I hope that this doesn't make it live, but if it does, I want you to understand what is going on. Their secondaries are actually attacking the citadel under the water. That's why it looks awkward. The best counter to this issue, if it does occur, and we have to wait a couple weeks before a hotfix comes out, stay near your maximum secondary range. I would say between 80 and 90% of the secondary range is a good arc for the shells to get over to the target itself versus going into the water. Now, your secondaries will miss more than if it was the previous version of the system and you were within 5, 6, 7 kilometers of the target. But right now, on the public test server, 100% of your shells are going to miss with your secondaries at around 6 kilometers. Because they're targeting the wrong part of the ship. So I just want people to know, I wish I could capture this in the training room, but it doesn't work for me right now. There is a link to people in the training room testing this out, having it be confirmed that it does exist. I'm sure Wargaming is aware of it. Some people will be, oh, well, this was they meant to do this. I wish I could be that cynical. But I'm not. I'm going to assume that Wargaming asked some employees to check whether there's a bug, maybe clean up a bug, maybe clean the code up, and they accidentally took something out that defined where the target was going to attack, and it sort of defaulted back to this citadel target. Maybe because that's where automatic attack goes. It goes to the center part of the ship. Maybe even they use the same for aircraft. It'll go towards the center part of the aircraft, and then you'll roll a random number whether you've actually done damage or not. It's a lot of D&D, actually, from that standpoint, I think, for aircraft, at least. But I'm going to assume, hey, random employee, please fix this issue. It probably was on their list to do for a couple patches. They got to it. They pushed it out with this patch, and oh no, it changed the way this particular system worked. I don't know why Wargaming would want to discourage close-range battleship combat. So, logics would dictate that this is a bug and not a designed nerf, and that's the way I'm going to treat it, at least for now. If Wargaming comes out and says, we felt like secondaries were too effective at close range, then I will be very angry. But until they do, it's just a bug. An unfortunate bug, especially for German battleships. Now, secondary damage is not a significant part of German battleships. The most significant part of it, quite honestly, is the fact that you are firing guns, and people are very afraid of that. Even if it does 10, 20,000 damage in a game, the secondaries going off will force a player to change the way they play. It's sort of like pushing the enemy ship out. You know, it'll encourage them to stay at a longer range so you can have more successful damaging shots. If they come in close, especially in the 5, 6, 7 kilometer range, you would obviously do massive damage, which you should. There's no reason why that shouldn't happen. But in 0.6.4, we know it's going to come out soon. I doubt that this is as important to them as it is, you know, to the patch itself coming out. So I think that they're going to push it, even if it has the issue, and hotfix it later. If this issue occurs, keep near your maximum secondary range in order for secondaries to remain effective. I just want everyone to know this. I like to inform the community. I enjoy the discussion. If you have seen this with your own eyes in training room and can confirm, I would really appreciate it. I mean, not training room. Oh, God. On the public test server, most recent build. Please let me know. It's always a pleasure to see that kind of comment, and it helps out the community, you know, figure out this mystery. But I have seen it with my own eyes in a video, multiple videos documenting exactly what it's doing. It's diving into the water, meters, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meters before it even gets to the ship. It is a very obvious trend. It's very obvious that they're targeting the citadel. You know, it's like, what's the best example? It's like when you are in a tank and you are given their, well, it's like if it's a broadside ship, you go after the broadside. That's just what you do. So, just want to let everyone know there is an issue with the secondaries on the public test server. We will have to see if this sticks with the patch when it goes live. I expect the patch to go live very soon. 1 to 2 weeks. I don't see why they would hold it back. There wasn't a lot of French to test. I do think the French are coming with the patch, which is fun, but it's also terrifying because I know deep down they are going to be very frustrating to play because they're so squishy. Regardless of the damage output, they will die the quickest of any cruiser line in the game. Consistently. They don't have smoke. They don't have the heal ability quite like the British. And when they do come out, I hope you will recognize I'm trying to warn you. Please understand, you will die. I will die. I look forward to killing you when you're in your French cruiser. Because they are going to be so easy to kill. Other things that I've been looking at, so I've done a lot of research into the way penetration works in the game. I am interested in checking out a video for the Germans. The German battleships are interesting. Did you know that the German HE actually has... So the way Wargaming does HE penetration, basically what dictates whether the HE does damage or not is the size of the shell. In this case, the Bismarck is 380, divided by either 6 for everyone or 4 for the Germans. So the Germans can really sling the HE in very interesting situations. I was looking at it, and basically German HE is borderline able to penetrate every single cruiser for the British Empire and the French. They have such low armor values that the HE, 420 divided by 4 is about 105. The French cruisers have about 105 millimeters of penetration protection on their citadel, and it's vulnerable out on the edge. So if you had inertia fuse high explosive, you're pushing that even further. So I would really like to see if slinging HE at the British cruisers and the French cruisers works out just as well for the Germans as using AP. Now obviously you don't want to use HE against a heavily armored ship. You are giving up your potential chance to citadel a target. But British and French are very consistent with their lack of armor. And a lack of armor, on the citadel specifically, should be exploited. HE, as far as I know, has no penetration drop-off over distance. That's a really big deal. Not that you would hit, realistically, a target at 19 or 20 kilometers. Let's face it, most kills happen within the 10-kilometer range. But the lack of drop-off is intriguing, and slinging HE at targets that have absolutely no armor, British and French, we're going to be seeing a lot of French cruisers. I'm going to look forward to citadeling them with my HE shells. I want to test the theory. So I hope this was intriguing for you. I want to sort of stall it out to the very end of the game where we're aggressively pushing forward. We've got multiple enemy ships that are trying to fire on us. I'm trying to stay as bow on as I can, prevent the AP from doing any effective damage, trying to avoid the HE fires. I hate the HE fires. It's always frustrating. So, secondaries on the Bayern, and main battery on the Bugioni. And can we be slick? Of course. What do you bet he sets me on fire with this shot? You just can't make this up. You can't make this up. It's just so hilarious how consistent it is. But hey, we did 150,000 damage. I'm not upset about that at all. Friendly Bayern is pushing forward into the enemy. Don't know how effective that's actually going to be. Especially when it is a bow-on Gneisenau and a New Mexico. Oh, the New Mexico slinging HE. Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna do a video. I really want to explore the idea of exactly what HE AP. I don't really think people do a good enough job of explaining it. I think they just think that people know. How many people knew that the Germans just have better HE penetration on the battleship? I don't know if that applies to their secondaries, but it's to compensate for their accuracy, or supposedly. Whatever. So we did all right. Bismarck's a great ship. I hope you're going to be aware of the potential issues that might occur in 0.6.4 secondaries. If they don't, great. This is just a warning. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.